Welcome to Adventure, an e-commerce podcast that isn't just about numbers and profits. It's about the visionaries who carved their path, navigated challenges, and left an indelible mark on the e-commerce landscape. So get ready to be inspired, informed, and immersed in the world where innovation meets e-commerce. Joining us today is Izabella Ritz. Izabella is founder and CEO of Ritz Momentum, a one-stop shop for Amazon Business Services. And also joining in on the conversation will be Joseph Phillips, account manager with BidX. Joe has a passion for all things e-commerce, and at BidX, he handles ad strategy for enterprise clients in the US. So welcome to both Joe and Izabella. To start, Izabella, I have to say how inspiring you are. I was reading your story. You emigrated from Russia with 3 children. You're smart, beautiful, successful. You started your own companies. I have no idea how you juggled all of that. But we're going to get into it here shortly. So first, let's talk about how you entered the e-commerce landscape. What do you feel you brought to the table innately, and what did you learn along the way?
Well, thank you for having me here, number one. Number two, thank you for the compliments. I am Leo by horoscope. Not a lot of people are believing, and I was super skeptical, but Leo loves to be pet. So do I. So I love the compliments, and I love when people like tell me some nice stuff. Anyway, I entered e-commerce space when I came to United States. However, I had the background of doing a lot of stuff online. So I was promoting my companies back in Russia when I was living there online. I was using all these Google ads and SEO and generally speaking, any instrument that was available at the time to rank my company. So when I came here to United States with 3 children at the time, right now I have 4. I delivered my number 4 private label in March 2023. So I find out that Amazon is the thing, and a lot of people are doing Amazon in 2015. As you remember, probably that was wild west, as Anthony Confrancesco mentioned recently at CompuCom, and it is true. And I realized like, oh, people are selling products. I was doing services the majority of my life. So let's try, because what worse can happen? Like, it's not going to work. And the basics are you have to have a product, you have to promote the product, and you have to have a good SEO. What I'm not understanding there. Of course, I am. I overestimated myself at some point, but that was not hard to adjust anyway. So, and I didn't know English at the time. Everything I could say is just hi and bye. And when I was reading policies, or I was doing something wrong at Amazon Seller Central, I didn't understand what it is all about. And when being some phrases such as like, we're crediting your account, I didn't understand why they're crediting my account, because I didn't ask for the credit. But the definition of the credit is not the financing, it's just it will be positive balance in your account, not negative. So I was facing all these cultural things and language things that been probably more challenging for me than figuring out how to make a sale on Amazon. So that's a little bit of the background story.
That's amazing. So all of these folks, especially in the US, that are kind of scared of starting their business, and here you did it without understanding really the language and sort of the culture and everything. I can't imagine, was that stressful for you? That had to have been pretty stressful, but you kept pushing forward.
I did. Genuinely speaking, I had to make it work. And it was no step back, because I invested pretty much my last amount of money that I had at the time. And I had just $200 in the pocket. So I had to make it work. And I remember the day when I was looking at this iMac, and I wanted to just shatter it up to the wall, because I did not understand what's required from like when I was creating, I believe that was another shipping that I was creating, because I was sold out super fast, and that was Q4. And I needed more inventory, and I called my supplier. I'm like, listen, and he's Chinese. He doesn't speak English, of course. And I'm trying to explain him that I need another batch. And now I realize that I need to create another shipment and I don't understand how to create the shipment. And I'm watching this Amazon tutorials, and they were not really user friendly. So I didn't understand how to do that. And I was like, it's not working. So that was challenging. Just for me at the time, that was just user not user friendly. But other than that, that was not really hard, especially when I'm looking back right now.
As origin stories go, that's a pretty cool origin story, I'd have to say. And I'm actually really grateful that you're sharing the challenges, because we see all the time on Instagram and TikTok and everywhere people claiming that start a side hustle, start an Amazon business. And as you know, it's not as easy as just 1, 2, 3, right?
Especially now. Mm.
Yeah, it has become quite a bit more challenging. They've definitely changed things up. So we're going to go into what are some trends that you see? I know that one of your passions is helping, launch businesses. So I'm going to ask you, what are some trends that you see, one, with new Amazon sellers wanting to enter the e-commerce world or launch? And then do you see other trends with seasoned sellers wanting to scale up? Do you have some tried and true strategies that you use sort of across the board, depending on those situations?
Great question. And yes, I do. And there's plenty of stories to tell. Generally speaking, what is happening right now is we have to re-educate sellers that launched their e-commerce back in 2010, 15, 16, 17. And we have to reprogram people that have been watching free YouTube videos with the fake news that you can launch Amazon with $300 in a pocket. So that's the main challenge for us as an agency, because for those of you that don't know, I am Amazon seller, and I have the agency that is serving people, helping to launch the products on Amazon and e-commerce in general. So, and the main approach that people are forgetting about is that it's not you're going on Alibaba, finding the products for 3 cents and resell them for $300. Like you saw plenty of those videos, right? So stupid, such a BS. I still can't get it how people are just like believing in all this BS. But anyway, here we are BS free. We have to make sure we're developing the products that are based on consumers' avatar. So we will sell something that people are searching for, something that they will be satisfied with, something that they will recommend to others, something that they will be happy to post on Instagram saying like, hey, I just got it, tag the brand, instead of like selling and reselling generic products. And the trend here is that sellers that are successful, like the 7-8 figure sellers, and they launched in the past, right now they don't know what to sell and how to sell because they didn't use this approach. We see, like, I don't want to throw the numbers that will not be accurate, but I would say about 1% of sellers, maybe a little bit less, that are actually building the brand. You can tell there are plenty of brands out there, but when we will look at the ratio in between the whole amount of sellers and the sellers that are actually building brands, that are like, it's wild. It's just like pretty much a few, it's handful amount. I mean, it's still in thousands, but it's a handful amount of people that are focusing on something that their avatar is looking for. And there are some sellers that are launching their products via Kickstarter. And Kickstarter is about being innovative. Sometimes it's just one feature that their customer avatar can't find anywhere, and you don't have to come up with a new technology. You're just coming out with this small piece of design in the product, and you can launch it via Kickstarter because your buyers couldn't find it for a while, and they're happy to fund your product, and they're happy to make it work and bring this product to life. And of course, the new sellers, we have to break their mindset by telling them, like, listen, this cheese cutting board, bamboo cheese cutting board on Alibaba for $5 will not be able to be successful on Amazon just because it's a generic product. There are plenty of those out there that they're already taking the majority of the market, and the market actually satisfied with this product. And this is we can see based on the numbers on the background of Amazon Product Opportunity Explorer, where these numbers are letting us know that it's pretty high conversion rate. There is a very low return rate. And we have, 45 sellers that are sharing 100% of the market. So there is like no market fit for the product. So let's please not make it more complicated for yourself. And if you have extra money that you want to waste, please donate them to somebody or just go on vacation or do something useful, but don't waste it on like negative experience.
Yeah, those are really good tips. I think a lot of people probably do enter that market thinking of a product that they themselves just want to sell without doing the research on it. Even if there is a good profit margin, not knowing if the market is completely saturated with sellers for that product.
Right.
So that's really good information. Just like anything else, if the numbers aren't making sense, then you do it, and it's not really about what you want. It's what the market dictates. The Kickstarter information, that was really interesting. It's a great way to gauge what the market really wants.
It just, here, like if you're going to the Kickstarter, it will help with that too. It's where you're investing into marketing more and product development instead of the inventory. So you still need the same amount of or similar amount of investments, but you are playing this long-term game where you're manufacturing just one good sample after you develop the product. You are doing video production, you are promoting your product out there for a lot of people, right? It's like one too many, as Jason Fladlin. And then you are launching the product without having the inventory, and then you're delivering this product to the people that pledged money, that funded into your products, and then you already launch this product on Amazon. Usually when the Kickstarter is happening, for a lot of people out there probably is interesting how much money you can raise. If it's successful project, you can raise an average 1.2, 1.5, and that will be enough to cover the expenses of your campaign. You will be able to send the inventory to people that backed your account, that backed your project, and it will be enough 1 to 1.5 extra batch that you will be able to launch on Amazon or Shopify, whatever you're planning to launch it.
And probably ready-made with reviews from people that clearly have already wanted your product. So
right, it's yeah, and you're also creating demand, because when you're running campaign for the Kickstarter, people are going on Amazon and Google, and they're like, Jeanette cutting board, bamboo cutting board, and they already put out there your name. And then when people will start launching, like seller will start launching, the demand is already created for him.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Joe, did you want to?
Yeah. So Izabella, you touched on the fact that established sellers are across the board kind of having trouble launching new products. Obviously, Amazon's changed a lot in the last few years. It's a lot more competitive. So I feel like the old way of doing things was you used to kind of like see how the search engine result page looks, and then differentiate kind of based on what you're seeing. But there's obviously a lot more to it. Can you tell us about like difference, I guess, like from the data side, what are you looking at, and how do you decide on a new product for launch?
So I would, again, great question, Joseph. So I would say you're not really correct about the competition. Competition is not really stronger. It's just a lot of poorly launched products that are, again, generic in a very low ticket market range. So for example, a lot of people are launching products that will cost them $6, $7, maximum $10 in production, which means when retail price is like up to $39.99, there are plenty of sellers that do that, because who doesn't have access to $10,000 these days? Everybody. You're just going applying to the credit cards and you have this 10 grand like within 5 minutes. Not hard at all, right? So And that's the main part where people are launching this inventory without making them different first. And on the second place, people are hesitating to launch high ticket product because they are scared to invest money into the inventory. But at the end of the day, people are spending the same amount of money or more into the marketing. So you will have to spend money into your experience, marketing, and product. You pick. So, and because we don't want to have a lot of competition, this is where we're starting looking at the higher ticket products. I'd rather to invest into the inventory and have higher markup. Do I want to have $1 per sale, or I want to have $100 per sale? But the amount of effort is literally the same. Yesterday, like I don't have to dig somewhere far away from the examples. Yesterday, I was creating my personal campaign. Campaign for my personal product that we're launching, I think tomorrow or today. It's supposed to like really hit Amazon these days. We're just waiting for the appointment, and it's almost there. My product will cost $99 to $129. It depends on like what marketing strategy we'll be picking. My PPC cost will be an average $0.18 per click. My potential competitor there is one. And this one competitor is having several variations. He has about like 30 or 40 variations of this product, and only 2 of them are successful. So I will be competing with just one seller. All others, they're like pretty weak. They're weak based on the graphics, based on the product differentiation, like based on pretty much everything. And we recreated their product that would beat on the market before we invested in the inventory by literally testing the product on a peak full. Every single feature we put out there, we tested on a peak full, and we've been able to see the results where we find out, okay, our product is better based on this feature, this feature, this feature, and this feature, and that's exactly what our customers are looking for. Let's do it. So, and now I have a product that cost me about $17 that I will sell as minimum as $99, and I will pay about, let's say, $2 per sale, given the math that we did in the past. And when we'll reach like 50, 60 reviews, we probably will pay $1 per sale. And my Amazon fee will be probably, $100 minus 15% is $15, and plus shipping will be about another sale. So I will pay, let's say, up to $30 Amazon fees. So now 30 plus 17, I have 47. So I will stay with about $40, $50 per sale in my pocket. Not bad at all. So that's the strategy I'm trying to take.
This is one of those Instagram reels, Izabella.
Huh?
I said, this sounds like one of those Instagram reels. Just invest this and you'll make, $1 million.
Yeah. We just have to keep in mind that there is a lot of effort behind. So you have to go through the product development process. To have this, you have to go through the product development process where all these reels like, oh, go to Alibaba and the launch on Amazon. And now this is how it gets successful. BS.
Yeah. But, that makes a lot of sense. When you're putting your money into a more expensive product, you can actually leverage that asset as opposed to putting all of that money into marketing where, who knows, you really are spending it and have no guarantees and really, no guarantees of return on that. So that's a really smart approach to putting all of that money into the higher end product. And at least you can leverage that as an asset.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So go ahead, Joe.
Oh, yeah. And just one other question for you, kind of based off of what you were saying, again, as like an established seller, and, it's obviously you launch products pretty regularly, but across the board, whether you're, I guess this will differ if you're a high ticket or a low ticket kind of product. What do you generally see people kind of setting aside as far as cost between product development and initial marketing expenses, and mainly in like that experimentation phase, right? Of like, is this going to land? Is this not? Should I be looking for 25, like 15? Where do you draw the line?
If it's an experienced seller and they know what they're doing, they probably will be good with like 15 to 25 per product. If we're talking about person that is delegating their stuff to others, so I would say $40,000 to $50,000 per product is a reasonable amount, as long as people are looking at the products that will make them at least $100,000 to $150,000 in revenue per year. So if we're looking at the opportunity cost, you have to have 3, I would say, orders in a pocket, which is translating to realities like about 15. You have to be able to cover 1,500 units. So let's say your product costs $15, multiplied to 1,500, so it's like 22,500, right? Something about this, and then you have to have about $200 per day per PPC, which is a good amount to rank your product and get as many sales as possible, because you're paying to play. You need as many reviews as possible. You can get to as many reviews as possible only if you have sales. If you don't have sales, you don't have reviews. So it's a self-explanatory. And then you need to hire somebody who will manage your PPC, BidX as the platform. I don't remember your guys' code, but I believe something like $600 per month you have to pay for the software. And on top, what else do you need? And you need to pay for the product development. And if you're working with us, we're charging like 10 to 15%, but we have a cap. Like, we're not charging like hundreds of thousands of dollars if your opportunity cost is like $1 million a year. But in average, it's like 10 to 15% per from your potential yearly revenue. So calculate, let's say, $12,000 per product development, and then all this amount that I just mentioned. So you're facing about 40 to 50,000. It's like a healthy amount to a healthy start. So, and I really want to prevent everybody from illusion, where people thinking, oh, I found the company and they will make everything for me for $500. People with high expertise will never charge you just $500. So it's just not realistic.
Yeah, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, you get for you like, yeah, cheap pay, cheap results.
Right. Well, we're running a little bit against the clock. I'm gonna have just a few more questions for you. I know we talked a little bit about how things have changed so much, and just watching even just Amazon, things seem to change with them almost on a daily basis. So
right. A couple times a day sometimes.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned, because you're an Amazon seller also, I would imagine that allows you to stay on top of all of those changes. So I'm going to ask you 2 things. One, over the past couple years, what do you think the biggest change has been that's affected Amazon sellers? And then just as a follow-up to that, is there any new technology that you've used or have just started to use that kind of plays a role in helping you?
I would say the biggest positive opportunity that happened, which is negative for a lot of people, like they're saying we cannot do like reviews since 2017, right? So we have to follow Amazon TOS. On a positive side, Amazon released so many features that can be used by brands and keep yourself away from any competitors by like having transparency, right, program, by be able to advertise as brands, have DSP campaigns. We have access now to so much data. So we really use like 5 different softwares to be able to validate and do the product research. So it's so awesome to have all this access and be able to read the data. And the biggest challenge is to read the data and build the relationships in between this software. That's the biggest challenge for the sellers that don't understand the numbers. And when like we're trying to explain people like, listen, this is what you have to do when you're reading the software, And if you're running, for
Mhm.
example, PPC campaign report, or you're running like any validating product report on Smart Scout, what should you see there? And people don't understand. They're looking at the numbers and like, so what? So what is out there? And that's, I think, the biggest challenge. And we're trying to, again, to educate people. I'm doing a lot of webinars. I'll be doing one of the webinars today and it's free. We're trying to show people how to read this data, what numbers you have to look at. And sometimes we also notice that people feeling that it's so overwhelming and complicated that they rather not to do anything at all. They're like, okay, that's hard. If it's hard, let's just quit. So those things I notice the most. Of course, like there are some new TOS with like shipments and like appointments and APIs, and like it's a lot of things going on, but those are not really affecting your success. What is affecting your success is brand building, be able to read the data, and put all these things together to make sure you're mitigating the risk and increasing your potential to sell successfully.
Yeah. So, in business, the numbers speak for themselves, right? And what we're learning from you is that before product launch, the most important thing that you can do is do your product research. And then on the back end, after product launch, is really knowing your customers. So we're getting all of this data. And what you can help out with and your agency can help out with is translating that data. So translating the information and data that you're getting from the product research into a viable product that's going to be successful on Amazon. And then after the fact, using all of that A/B testing and, pull information from PickView and all of that to really know your customer and who you're going to market to, who your potential customers are. I think that's the tricky part for most people, is just looking at all of that data and really being able to translate it into something usable. And I'm guessing that's where you come in, Izabella.
Preach.
That's awesome. We are right out of time. We have one more question for you. We always end our interviews with, because we're called Adventure, what is the most adventurous thing that you've ever done, Izabella?
In life or
Yes.
business related?
In life.
Some things that are simple and easy for me are not for other people. And sometimes I'm sharing stuff and I feel that it's so kind of accessible for everybody. I love skydiving. I love scuba diving. And one day, probably one of the craziest things I did, I took my little girls at the time. Right now, they're not little, they're 17 and 18. And I went with them to Dominican Republic, and people there, they don't follow the law. They don't do anything like, okay, you want to pay us for the water ride with a parachute and take your children out there, we'll do that. And I didn't know that their parachute, how it's called, the belts, they built for adults. And I went there and I said, can I go there with my children? And they said, yeah, you can. So I was in the middle, they've been on the sides. My 3 years old at the time, she was pretty heavy, so she was fine, kind of. My 2 years old at the time, she was so light and she was so skinny, and we're with this parachute in the sky, and the ocean is under us. And I feel how this 2 years old, she's having fun because it's a wind and she can see the sky and everything, but I see how she can slip and just fall from through these holes in the belts, and because it's not tight. So I am in the sky holding her. And I think I lost 15 pounds while I was there for 15 minutes because it was one of the scariest things. So I think that's one of the craziest things I ever did without knowing that it will be crazy when I turned my adventure into almost killing my child.
That's probably her most adventurous story too, right now.
Yeah, when you see
Probably
how
fearless.
Yeah.
This 10-pound kid is just flying in the sky back and forth.
We've sensed a trend with all of our interviewees so far that I think almost every one of them has jumped out of an airplane. I don't know what it is with you people, but you love jumping out of things that are high in the sky.
Yeah, a lot of people that love to take a risk, they love the heights, and it's a lot of adrenaline when you're flying without, you can't film on the phone, you can't post the story, you can't chat with anybody, you're just with yourself and with the nature. So a lot of people scared to leave the plane if it's perfectly workable. I'm not, as long as if I'm secured with the parachute. So
I was nervous just to get on an airplane.
don't be. It's one of the safest. Yeah.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed this interview. I can't thank you enough for joining us. If you want more information, go to ritzarm.com. We'll have that link at the end of the video. And good luck on your product launch that's happening today. Although you probably luck because you've done.
We're launching 3 new products. 3.
Amazing.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Take care.